In today's video of NFL histories, we have one of the greatest defensive backs in the history of the NFL, played 13 years, 14 years actually, and was just one of the most dominant tacklers or interception artists and just hardest hitting D-backs you will ever see. His name is Dick Lane. Most people know him as Nighttrain Lane, and he was fantastic. He played for 3 teams and just set the world on fire. Wasn't a big thing in a college, and frankly, just as far as I could tell, just had like an old scrapbook from his high school days and coming out of high school. Well, we'll get into that, but let me know what you think down in the comments. We'll give it a like, share, subscribe. Just trying to make the channel more of a thing here, trying to bring you more interesting content on a daily basis from sports, entertainment, movies, video games, history, topics, all over the place. You're gonna get everything in the channel. If you're new, I hope you'll stick around for more. Otherwise, let's get into it. Dick Nighttrain Lane was not a highly sought after recruit out of high school. In fact, he didn't play college ball at all. After he was in high school, he went and joined the army, like a lot of men back in those days. Back when men were men. It's nice to see certain people bringing the military back to where it's supposed to be. Not a political channel, but you know what I mean. And he came to LA with like a pack and then like an old scrapbook of a coaching playbook, and he asked the coach of the Rams at the time for a tryout. And what they saw, he showed just enough to get him a trial. Now, initially he was started off an end, but he had the likes of future Hall of Famers Tom Pierce and crazy legs Hirsch around. I mean, that just wasn't going to work. So he was given a chance at defensive back, and boy, howdy, did he set the league on fire in his first year. Like always, we're going to go through all of his big name stats from start to finish. And for 1952, 12 games started, 12 games played, 14 interceptions, 2 interceptions for a touchdown, 1 safety, all over the league, and somehow he didn't get a Pro Bowl nomination. He didn't get an All-Pro nomination, which is absolutely crazy. I mean, if anybody gotten that today, they'd be up for MVP. Not back then, because back then defense was valued a lot more highly than it is today. Let's be honest. For all those great defensive players we have in today's game, we've seen the likes of Ed Reed, Brian Dawkins, Richard Sherman, even though I don't think he's as great as people make him out to be. This was the prototype. Was the Ed Reed before Ed Reed, like long before Ed Reed, and he sent the world on fire in the first year. It's amazing that with this stat line, he didn't get any official honors. Next year, 11 games played, 11 games started. This time only 3 interceptions. Still, back then, still a pretty good year. 3 fumble recoveries, 1 fumble recovery for a touchdown. No safeties. He only had the 1 safety in his first year, so I'm not going to go over that anymore. He only had 1 safety, but still, not a lot of players can even say they've had a safety at all in their careers. So once you get 1, that's all you really need. Now, this was his last year with the Rams. He would then be traded to the Chicago Cardinals. I know it's weird. The Chicago Cardinals. Yeah, the Cardinals have been around for a long time, one of the longest running franchises in the NFL. In his first year with the Cardinals, 12 games played, 12 games started. Again, this is back when there was only 12 games in an NFL season, 10 interceptions, no pick sixes, and this time Pro Bowl and All-Pro number 2. Now, when you look at those stats for interceptions, 14 first year, 3 the second year, 10 the third year, that's 27 in 3 years. That's already Hall of Fame level production. And he would only get better as the years went on. 55 with the Cardinals, 12 and 12, 6 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. and another Pro Bowl selection again. Now he's up to 33 interceptions in 4 years. That's fucking incredible. Fucking incredible. That's already, again, a Hall of Fame resume. Sadly, I should point out, he never really won anything in the NFL, championship wise. But next, we have 56. 12 games played, 8 games started, 7 interceptions, 1 pick 6, 2 fumble recoveries, and a Pro Bowl, and an All Pro won his selection as first of 3. Again, now he's getting close to 40 interceptions in 5 years again. Oh, he's at 40 or 41 interceptions at this point. Absolutely incredible. It's hard to imagine, even in today's game, where there's a lot of ball hawks today that go just for interceptions, and a lot of those guys, yes, they're great at making interceptions, but often get beat a lot. Night Train didn't get beat a lot. I mean, he had a saying. One of his sayings was, "My job is to stop the guy before he gains another inch," which is what the role of a defensive back, defensive, or a safety is supposed to do. There's nothing worse than a first down. And that is absolutely true. Now, before we go on further, I want to go into how he got the name Night Train. There is a famous record back in the 50s called Night Train. And just one day he came into Tom Pier's room and somebody said, "Hey, yo, it's Night Train." That's awesome. And then forever and then he was called Nighttrain Lane. I'm sure back in the day he probably would have preferred to be called Dick Lane, but you know, Night Train just sounds so much cooler. 10 to 57, 8 games played, 8 games started, 2 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries. No awards this year, but again, still, considering it was a injury shortened year, it was still a pretty good year, all things considered. 12 and 12 for 858, 2 interceptions, and Pro Bowl, and an All Pro too. Again, the stats during his middle years aren't as gaudy as his first year, but it's far more valuable at just making plays to stop the efforts. And you know, you could probably get an argument from people on whether you would rather have a bunch of interceptions and then give up a bunch of touchdowns, or would you just be solid at with only getting a couple interceptions, but being way better at stopping plays, stopping touchdowns, and stuff like that? There's an argument to be had that maybe the less interceptions, but still getting interceptions, is far more valuable than a guy that just goes for interceptions every time, with the high possibility of getting beat. Something to think about for sure. Next we have 59. 12 games played, 12 games started, 3 interceptions, 1 pick 6. Again, no awards, but still a pretty good year. Then we get to 1960. He is traded to the Detroit Lions. These are the years where he's has most success. Starting off with 12 games played, 12 games started, 5 interceptions, 1 touchdown, and a Pro Bowl. Starting with something great. Because if you remember right, the Lions won in 59 and then never won after that. The curse of the curse of Bobby Lane and everything. Not Dick Lane, Bobby Lane. Next we have 61. 12 games played, 12 games started, 6 interceptions, 0 touchdowns, but a Pro Bowl and an All-Pro one. 62. This is now the start of the 14-game season. 14 games played, 14 games started, 4 interceptions, 1 pick 6, and a Pro Bowl, and an All-Pro. At this point, he's over 60 interceptions. Again, already a Hall of Fame resume. Then we have 62, or 63. 14 games played, 11 games started, 5 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, and an All-Pro 2. He was great. I think I forgot maybe 62. 62 was, yeah, I got 62. This was his last really great year. Still an All-Pro caliber player. I think I may have gotten That's at 61. 61 was a 6 year. It was a 6 interception year. Pro Bowl, All Pro one. But yeah, at this point in his career, he had 6 All-Pro selections. He had 7 Pro Bowls. One of the most highly touted defensive backs of all time. Then you have his first of his last 2 years, Detroit, 64, 7 games played, 4 games started, 1 interception. And that was the last year he ever had interception because the next year, 7 games played, 3 games started, and no other stats. Well, 1 fumble recovery. But Nighttrain Lane, when it's all said and done, 157 games played, 143 games started, 68 interceptions of all time, which is 4th all time as it stands right now. 5 pick sixes throughout his career, 11 fumble recoveries, 1 fumble recovery for a touchdown, and then the 1 safety. And then, like I said, the several time All Pro selections, the 7-time Pro Bowler. He was all over the field. He didn't get beat very much. He was just a rock of a tackler. Like, he was just as feared intercepting and making plays as he was just stopping plays, making tackles. He was a vicious hitter, and when you got hit by Nighttrain Lane, you knew you got hit by a train. Literally, he's one of the best hitting safeties of all time. And for those of you who just say Ed Reed is the best, Ed Reed is the best, remember that there were guys that played just as well as Ed Reed that came before him, and Dick Nighttrain Lane was definitely one of them. He was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1974, along with 4 other greats, including Packer all-time great Tony Canadeo, Lou Groza, and Bill George. Again, it's a hell of a Hall of Fame class. And Dick Nighttrain Lane lives on forever. He died in 2002, but man, what a legend. One of the greatest players to ever play for the Lions, one of the greatest players to ever play for a Chicago-based team, and frankly, even though he only played 2 years for the Rams, he had 17 interceptions during his time with the Rams. He was great. Just a great athlete, a great player, and a greater person because he was a man that served his country and came with a pack on his back, just looking for a job, and he found it in football. Nothing better than that. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Otherwise, have a great day, and as always, God bless.